Hello and welcome to Elvenhome, and to this edition in which you see the walls of the engine shed actually take shape. And I also talk a little bit about the scenic work around the scrapyard and the gasworks. So let's take you straight away to the engine shed. Well, here you can see the engine shed in its place on the layout. This is where it's going to be. And as you'll see, the walls went on. One of the big worries I had was as I started to build the walls, because they're all separate sections going into the H beam, that they might bend and not sit up straight. But I'm pleased to say the wall is as straight as a die. And all went together really well. You'll see from the images I'm just going to put up now, where I took some shots a bit closer, that all the trusses are set into the wall inside, and they sit between the two layers of plastic card that's used for the wall. So the cross beam here sits inside, and the trusses drop down on the inside part of the wall. I've put a beam that will go across at the front, and this back beam sits on the back wall. But of course that is not sufficient of itself to support this roof. This roof couldn't possibly stand. So I am going to use the N-Scenic canopy brackets, which if I show you here, columns rather, let me just go into focus for this first of all. That's two of them stuck together and painted black. The intention is probably to have 4 or 5 of those running down the centre. I'll see how many fit, and maybe 2 or 3 at the front along that beam that you can see, along this beam here. What's going to be in front of this is the entrance, which will just be straight across at the front here on a flat roof, so the canopies and the roof is rising up above there. I don't intend to have any doors on, because I've seen plenty of engine sheds of this size which don't have doors on. That's not surprising. Engines are going in and out of here all the time, I just thought it made it unnecessarily complex to try and work doors in, particularly around the way that the track plan is, with one of the lines at least being at an angle. You'll remember in the last video, that I said I would want to be getting the benefit of the hive mind. This is going to be a lit building. That's the whole intention. But as many of you will know from past videos, all of this area, much of this area here, is sitting on a board under which are the point motors and all the wiring for the point motors. And I can't just drill down willy-nilly, because I don't know where precisely the wires are. And if I did drill through and cut a wire for a point motor, it's the devil's own job to get this up now. It can be got up in emergency, but it is in emergency. So I've always struggled to put lights in this front half of the layout, and so I'm really keen to put lights in this building. So I've been struggling in my mind how to do that. The idea that I've come up with, the lights that I want to use in here are the lights that I used up at High Elven and on the station platform, which I think are done by Layouts for You. If I can find an image, I'll pop one up of the lights I have in mind. And either 4 or 5 of them suspended from the bottom of a truss. And there's 9 going down there, so depending on how many lights I think I need, it'll either be 4 or 5 coming down from the trusses. I need to be able to bring all the wires to the back, because the wire coming out of the back here will come out down the bottom at the back here and go into this is where the board that I can't drill through ends, pretty much where this is sitting. The last section of the baseboard is beyond that, and I can drill down through that to be able to get the wires into the bus that I use for lighting. But if I'm using 10, 8 or 10 little lamps, each with their wires, firstly, all the wires are not going to be long enough to stretch to where I need to get them to. And secondly, it will have a huge amount of, if I put extra wire on, I'll have huge amounts of wire sort of bunched up in the roof, and I don't really want that. The idea I've come up with, on which I want to test your mind, or in the alternative, if you can think of a better option, is to build the roof, which I've not yet settled on the design for, so that on the underside of the roof there are 2 strips on each side of the roof of copper tape. And then I can run the wires giving the power up to one end of the roof, obviously at the back, and I can disguise that in conduit. That wouldn't be difficult. And then tape each individual light, or solder each individual light to the copper tape. I would make the roof parts, or some parts of the roof, removable in the event that I need to replace a light, because I don't intend this to come back out from where it is between these walls. I just think that's a high risk strategy, because if I took that out and couldn't get it back in properly, you could see, horrible things happening. So this is going to be glued in at some point. It's not fully glued in yet, but it wouldn't take much to complete that. Once I've built the front on, and that will then allow me to take the wires as I want them a shorter distance to get them soldered onto the copper tape, and then only 4 wires for each side, having to go out through the back and to go down through the baseboard to get into the light bus. So that's my bright idea. I welcome any views you have as to whether you think, 1, that will work, or 2, whether there's a better solution. Because when you look in here, from the front, I don't really want to see lots of wires all over the place. So there you are. That's where we've got to. So at least the engine shed now has its 3 walls. All it needs is for me to build the entrance. I'm not likely to be able to work on this for a little while, for reasons that I'll explain in the next section. So I'll look forward to comments, and in any event, I've got to source the lights and one or 2 other things before I could even begin to start thinking about building. So I'll be interested to hear what you've got to say. And having completed that bit, let's now go on to the other end of the layout, where I've been thinking about some scenic work and starting work on that. Right, having come down to the other end of the layout now, an area which I've not been working in for quite a while, I want to get on with completing the Gasworks area and also the scrapyard. The scrapyard extends all the way along here under the arch and will come along here. Oh, there we go. Helps if I keep it in shot. Let me just move you down a bit so you can see a bit more. And we'll come along here. This is the stable for the Rag and Bone Man's horse. And I've started, you'll see, a very few things have gone in here. These are kits from P&D Marsh. Let's get it right, P&D Marsh, which is like a kind of general, let's get this done here, which one's this? This is general sort of bits of tyre and all sorts of things, which I painted first of all in a yellow ochre, I think, and then put a grey wash over and then a black wash, just to leave it as a dump. The other one is, I think, mainly metal parts. Again, I'll bring it into focus so you can see it. So this is meant to be some bits of metal, more grey, but it's all mouldering a bit. I've got some barrels here. Down in the corner here, which you can't see because it's round the corner, is a pile of tyres. And I thought I bought quite a lot, but I've got a big space to fill. So I'll need to get quite a good deal more, and I need to just work out how the junkyard's going to work out. That's probably going to sit on an earth bed, I think, and I can use the Javis soil scatter to provide me with the bed, because it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be concreted over, it's just going to be really mud, and it's all just sitting on mud and rather dirty and gungy. Next, and over the side of the road, the ramp that takes the road up to the main part of Weathertop, is of course the Gasworks. And you'll recall a few videos ago that I said that I'd actually decided to go over to using the Hornby Little End Gasworks kit. It's probably 1 to 160 rather than 1 to 148, but I'm not sure that's too much of a problem. The two gasometers were made many moons ago. One is an N-Scenic kit and another is Modelux. And I'm playing around with the layout. I did buy from PD Marsh. Let's see if I can reach across and get it without causing mayhem. No, I can't. I'll zoom in. Just lift you up. There we are. I'll get you in focus. You can see here some Pipework, which is a kit again from P&D Marsh. They do quite a lot of industrial type buildings and equipment. And one of the packs is various bits and pieces to be able to assemble runs of pipework. I didn't want a lot, but I did want some to suggest that there was a bit of pipework going on. So that's various lengths of plastic tube together with some of the white metal cast valves and half-turn pipes and one thing and another, just to suggest that something is actually going into the tanks. What I now need to just settle is how I'm going to deal with the ground, because I think what I'm going to do is to put a border that runs, a very narrow one, probably a 1mm square piece of strip styrene, that runs along the front of the gasometers or gas holders, and then use some of the Javis mixed scatter. I don't know if it's supposed to be a kind of rock type scatter, which I've used elsewhere, just to suggest chippings that are to stop people walking right up and to the gas holders. The area in front here, because this is the gatehouse here, that is more likely to have been either concreted or asphalt. This little model, by the way, is from I've forgotten the name. I'll put it up on the video, and I'll put a link in the description. Some really interesting 3D printed models. Getting models in N-Gauge is really quite tricky of vehicles. Oxford Diecast do quite a lot, but they seem to do a lot of military vehicles, which I'm not quite sure why N-Gauge has so many military vehicles. I'm not so worried about the absence of private vehicles, because in the period I'm modelling, most people didn't own a car. But it is a bit boring, the Oxford Diecast range, I think, and could do with a few more models and things going in. So when I saw this company, whose name I've forgotten, I think it's N-Gauge Models, but I'm not sure, I was really impressed with this grabber, because as it's a gasworks, it's got to deal first of all with the coal that goes into the retort house here and is burnt to create the gas, and the coke which comes out from the retort house. I've been doing a lot of research, and is then washed and stored and bagged up and sold off. And that is why there are two sets of coal bunkers. One will be holding coal, and I've bought some crushed coal to go in there, and the other will be holding the coke, which obviously looks very similar to coal but is much lighter in colour. The bunkers, the coal bunkers or coal staves, depending how you want to describe them, if I get hold of one of them, is an Ancorton model kit. Bring it up into shot, which I'm really impressed with. Their kits, as you may know, are wooden kits. It comes very light. I don't know if you may see the original colour underneath there. I painted it first of all leather brown, which I've discovered is a cracking colour, an absolutely cracking colour, and then went at it with black weathering powders to give the impression of it having been done sterling service as a coal bunker. And I'm pleased with how that's come out, but the leather brown colour is absolutely stonking. I can put it in shot. Put you back. I won't try and lean over again. So that's the layout. There'll be a perimeter wall. If I zoom back out a little bit, there will be a perimeter wall coming along here, which I can make up, and that colour of brick is not a million miles away from the rust colour that I used on the engine shed, so I may be able to not quite match it, but have something that's sympathetic with it. So that's the things that I'm going to be working on over the next few weeks, is completing that and thinking about the roof to the engine shed. Now this edition is a bit shorter than others. Life has been very demanding as we've tried to get the Bowness and Kinneil Railway back up and running. And also I'm currently the chairman. My chairmanship ends on the 23rd of July, so there's quite a lot involved in that. And we're also going south to visit relatives for the first time in 18 months. So I'm going to take a bit of a break in doing videos. I don't expect the next video to be up until the end of July. So as you know, in past years I've always taken August off because of the Fringe. Well, the Fringe is not going to be quite as much a part of life this year as it would have been in the past ones. And I don't want to try and just push stuff out just to keep doing it every fortnight. So my intention after this video goes out is that the next video is likely to be either at the, let me see, 23rd is a Friday, probably then the 30th of July will be the next video after this one, because I need time to actually do some things, and I have a feeling my time is not going to be my own for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that really brings this video to a close. If you've liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Welcome any comments either on the layout of the Gasworks and particularly about my plans for how I have in mind to light the roof of the steam shed. And if you haven't already subscribed, well, please do subscribe, because it would be lovely to have you along. And until I speak to you again in just a little over a month's time, that's bye-bye from me. Bye-bye.